Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Astros Baseball. Today we're going to talk about some Astros achievements. Then we're going to give you our Ram Shirts Players of the Year, but we added one category, so stay tuned for that. And then we're also going to talk about some news and I guess some other things. And joining me as always, my boy Wally. Wally, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how are you? We're just trying to figure out what we're supposed to be doing in October without having the Astros to watch. And we've been so spoiled in the last 7 years to be able to go to a American League Championship Series. Yeah, we couldn't go in 2020, but it's kind of been our rite of passage that we get to go see playoff baseball in October, and so kind of makes you appreciate how well they've done over these years and look forward to next year.
Yeah, we're a little spoiled. I talked to Wally before we started. It's like I don't even know what to talk about. Like I'm not even. I don't know. There is stuff to talk about, but like you said, we're usually talking about baseball, and we're usually excited talking about a chance to go to the ALCS, another chance to go to the World Series. But this year, it's down. It's a down year, but I think we had a good year. Started out bad, but let's talk about some Astros achievement, Wally. Let's talk about that. I did say that wrong, but the Astros got their 5,000th win this year. I mean, I remember when it happened, it didn't get too much fanfare, but that's a pretty good mark for wins.
Yeah, it is. And, the Astros are above 500 as a franchise. And when you look where every other team is, there's not a lot of them that are over 500. So when you consider the Astros had a string of 100 loss seasons, and they also had some really bad teams in the 70s, the fact that you're over 500 now is a nice accomplishment.
Yeah. So the Astros started out bad, and then it's kind of like when they got knocked out of the playoffs, you're feeling like, well, it was just a down year. We weren't very good. We have a lot of holes. It just wasn't our season. But if you look at this, maybe we should still be in the playoffs. Maybe we should have went further. After April 27th, the Astros had the second best record in Major League Baseball. So even though they started out weak and they didn't have a great year, maybe they should have had a better year than they did.
You know, the I am glad the Astros just even got into the playoffs. When
Yeah.
you we come back and talk about where they were 7-19 at one point. The number of 7-19 teams that have made it to the playoffs is less than one before the Astros came
Yeah.
in.
Zero.
Just the fact that you get to the playoffs is a big deal, and also you can't sell short how much effort it took to get there. Espada made a comment when they were doing the celebration for winning the division. He said, they've been in elimination mode since the middle of May.
Yeah.
When you're going, just think about a car. I mean, if you take a car and you run at 120 miles an hour for a long time, it's probably going to wear out. And maybe that's just what happened to the Astros.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And also they ran into Detroit, who is a short series. It was a situation where you had a stud like Scooble and he's throwing darts and you have a weird game.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. I mean, you go into a 3-game series and one team has the best pitcher, that's almost a gimme. So you have to win the next two. And it was a winnable series. We just didn't do it. It just wasn't our time. But we did, however, win our fourth consecutive AOS title and our eighth straight playoff appearance. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, look at the Yankees. They're in the World Series this year. They're on the couch drinking beer last year.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course the Dodgers are in the World Series and they won the Class AAA World Series in 2020.
Mickey Mouse.
And so let's just see what happens.
I probably won't watch one World Series game. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't care who wins.
I really don't either. We'll probably watch it. I think there's a good chance for us if we can talk about it later this week and give our ideas. But You
It's
know,
true.
the Yankees look really good.
Yeah.
Yankees have starting pitching.
Some more achievements the Astros had. They led the American League. This surprised me. I don't think I even knew this. They led the American League in hits with 1,448. They led the American League in batting average for a team with 262, and they were second in on base percentage, and that's after starting 7 and 19.
Yeah, they when you look at the numbers that they had throughout the entire year, you can get kind of a feeling of why they had some struggles and why Espada talked about that they left their game. They led in hits, 1,444, as you said, but they walked only 441 times as compared to last year was 550. That's close to a 20% drop in the number of walks per game. They went from almost 3.5 walks to about 2 3/4 walks a game. The strikeouts were less, okay, but they didn't drive as many runs. They are 10% less runs driven in. They drove in or they hit about 13% less home runs. You can just kind of down the go down the path of it, and it seemed to me all year that the Astros were swinging too much at the first pitch. They didn't work counts. Um, yeah, they're great contact guys, so they spent a lot of time just getting themselves out. Espada talked that they had lost their approach, and I think they're going to work really, really hard to get that back in the spring.
Yeah. That's one thing I noticed too towards the end of the year. It's like they get someone on base and they're just swinging for the moon. They're just with everything they have instead of just playing some small ball and getting on base. But here's some more. The American League Players of the Week: Ronel Blanco, April 6th; Jordan, August 10th; Josh Hader was reliever of the month in August; and Arrighetti, rookie of the month in August.
Yeah, there were definitely some highlights. Spencer Arrighetti came along. He and Brown came along from just awful starts to have really, really solid seasons. Arrighetti's record doesn't show really how well he pitched. He did pitch like a rookie at times, which means you'll have one great start and you'll look awful. Where would the Astros have been without Ronel Blanco?
That have been even worse.
Yeah, I mean, without Ronel Blanco, we wouldn't have sniffed the playoffs because if nothing else, what Blanco did in that first game against Toronto after getting swept by the Yankees. He throws a no hitter, and you could just kind of feel in the stadium. We were there that night. It's like everybody's like, "Okay, we're going to be okay." Now we didn't realize that we'd go to Chicago and Royal and Kansas City and just get smoked and wonder what was going to happen next. But at least with Ronell, for the first month or two of the season, he was their ace.
Oh yeah. On April 1st, the Astros had their 17th no-hitter in franchise history. Jordan had the 10th cycle for the Astros on July 21st. Then August 28th, he hit 3 homers in a game.
Yeah, there's nothing that he does that doesn't amaze you. Is that the amazing thing is you no longer get amazed, and when the ball comes off his bat, it just sounds different. That game, there was a couple of times he hit home runs. We were at the game, and then also that one against Philadelphia when he was against Philadelphia and hit that last home run. He hit a ball 420 feet and probably got about 25 feet off the ground max.
Yeah, he hit it like the 7th row, and it never reached the 8th row. Uh, on May the 13th, it was the first time they had 2 female play-by-play on both teams. Julia versus Oakland. I didn't write the Oakland lady's name down, but
Yeah, it is Jenny
Julia,
Cavnard.
Jenny Cafnard.
Jenny Cavnar.
Oh, Cavnar.
She
Okay.
yeah, she's on MLB radio a lot. She's a really fun listen. I've never heard one of her games, but she's a fun listen when she's on MLB TV and or MLB radio, and congratulations to her.
Yeah. How do you think Julia did?
She did 2 games. I thought her first game was pretty good.
Yeah.
Her second game wasn't quite as good.
Yeah. I must have catch the second one.
I caught the first. There's the first one had a lot of energy to it, and the second one, it just she just I don't
It-
just wasn't quite as good.
yeah.
Her first game when she called the Bregman home run, it was hilarious.
It could have been who she was with. I don't know if she was with Blummer on the second one.
Yeah, I don't know. She was
I
she
think,
was with Blum the first on the first one, and TK was on the field.
yeah.
TK they swapped roles.
Oh, okay. But anyway, like I love Julia, and I don't want to make any comments because I don't want people to kill me.
Hey,
All
as
right.
a sideline reporter, there's none better. We went out to San Diego to see the series out there,
Yeah.
and boy, when she's on the sideline before the game, she is working. She is all business, getting
Yeah.
her notes together. I mean, it's she's one of the best.
Yeah. I definitely 1000% would never want to lose her. She's been around for a long time and she's very beloved. That's why I said I don't want to say anything bad. It just didn't have the energy. I didn't, it wasn't that great. Okay. There's my opinion. I'm sorry, Julia. I'm sorry. Better than I could do, though. And the Astros, 8 straight silver boots.
As it should be.
Yeah.
No,
Texas say
nothing
they
else
don't
to be said.
Texas
Just
fans say
go.
they don't care about it, but they don't
Yeah,
care
just
about
go
it
back
because
home.
most of their fans don't even know what it is.
Yeah, well,
That's
they're too young to remember what it's like to have one.
yeah. I was in my 40s last time they won. Also, the Astros 9-0 in their first 9 starts by Kikuchi. That was a pretty amazing run.
Yeah, and lost that last start, but by then it was just getting everybody ready, hoping we'd be able to see him in the playoffs. What'd you think about not having Kikuchi in at all in the second game?
You know, that's what I was going to bring up right now. Instead of going to the bullpen, they could have piggybacked them. If they had plans on Hunter Brown started game 1. Oh, I would have thought maybe they would piggyback him with Arrighetti so Kikuchi could pick game 3 instead of going to the bullpen because the bullpen's been shaky.
Yeah,
And we
and
had that game. We had that game 1, but the bullpen blew it.
yeah, that was I wouldn't say we had him. In that game in particular, a lot of these games, like you talked about, there were too many times that they didn't hit in key situations. One of the things that was surprising, that really surprising for watching the games throughout the year, you would think that their runners in scoring position average was not good. They hit 267 with runners in scoring position, but it
It
felt worse than that, and it felt like
felt like 100.
yeah, it felt like they would hit with runners in scoring position when the game was a blowout, but when they really needed that close clutch hit,
Yeah.
they had tough times doing it. Not that they never did it, but it seemed like that was always kind of missing.
Well, sometimes you can get a hit with a guy on second and he only goes to third. It doesn't always
Right,
have to result in runs.
right. Yeah,
All right.
it was an odd year at the bat to say the least.
Yeah. All right. Here's one more achievement. Yainer Diaz, club records by a catcher and hits 175, runs 70, RBIs 84, 5th in the American League in batting average. What a year for Yainer Diaz.
Yeah, yeah. It feels like they're going to want to get him from behind the plate. He kind of reminds me of old time baseball players. My fans might remember this. Remember Brian Downing? Do you remember Brian Downing? He
I
played for
remember
the
the
Angels.
name.
Yeah, he played for the Angels. He started off. He played for the White Sox. Then he went to the Angels, and he could hit and he could run, and he was a catcher. And they got him from behind the plate and put him in the outfield and DH a lot. And he had a really long, nice career. And it feels like kind of like with Biggio, they wanted to get him from behind the plate and save his legs. Is they'll do something with him if he can play first base and he got better. He's
Yeah.
no great first baseman, but he was better. If they can get him from behind home plate and save his legs, it'll help his career and should save his power too.
Oh, yeah. Last one. Why did I put Altuve third? Oh, it's Altuve's third 2020 steal and home run season.
Yeah. Isn't he amazing?
Yeah, he really is.
I mean,
Most
you look
amazing
at,
player, and he's the most hated player in baseball, I think.
yeah, well, get over yourself, people.
Who cares?
You know, you're seeing some things brought up about some of the other teams, like the Yankees before the Astros, and then the Red Sox after the Astros. Is it's a shame that more of the media doesn't point out the fact that the Astros weren't the only ones. Um, Will Clark had a YouTube about this, and he says, "You think they got your signs? Change your signs."
Yeah.
The
The old
fact
school
is that
baseball guys aren't upset about it. It's only
no,
these
not
people that
really. I mean,
yeah.
there's ways of doing it. One thing about Jose's OPS this year, it dropped to 790. He had been at 839, 921, 915, 790. He's one guy that he's always been a free swinger, but as his power tends to drop as he gets older, it's going to be more important for him to be more selective at the plate and get pitches he can handle.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. All right, that's the last. Can you think of an achievement I might have left out?
No, just the biggest achievement for me is that they got themselves off the mat and won a division.
Yeah.
We remember what it was like when we were in May, and you had asked, "Are they out of it?"
Yeah.
And we'd say the answer was
We're
from
on the
both of
fence.
us was no, but they better get it into gear, kick it into gear.
We're
They
on the
started
fence
off.
and we're teetering.
It started off in Mexico City,
Yeah.
and then just got better and better and better. Uh, you wish they'd been able to get to 91, 92 wins, but just to get to 90 plus wins, you had to play over 650 baseball the rest of the way. And that's hard to do for 4.5 months.
Yeah. There's a lot of fans of other teams talking about, oh, well, we had a lot of injuries. And it's like, dude, we had an entire rotation on the
Yeah.
injured list. We played 3 months without one of the 2 best players on the team. So I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, we had a whole rotation of who's that.
Yeah.
You put someone, you get a guy on the mound, and someone friends would say, "Well, who's that?"
Yeah.
And the
Who's
next
that
guy,
guy?
"Who's that?"
Who's that dude? Who's this guy? And then they just try to fill spots with a bunch of people, minor leaguers, people that got cut. They tried hard, but wasn't enough.
Here's one thing I will say as far as achievement. Joe Espada caught a lot of flack. Joe Espada did a fantastic job. Now,
Yeah.
could you say that he didn't have him ready for the season? Who knows? If this happens next year and it happens a year and year and year after that, then we'll say that there's something in the way they're preparing them for the season. It sure didn't seem that way coming out of spring training. They looked like they were ready. But a good manager helps bring a team out of that sort of a tailspin and makes it into a successful season.
Yeah. Looking forward to the awards. I think
The
he'll get
awards.
nominated for something. But let's talk about our sponsor before we move on to the Ram shirts. Players of the Year, folks, not series. Players of the Year. Our sponsor's Underdog. Take a swing at Pick'em this baseball season on Underdog. Over 1 million fans across 33 states got into the game last year by making picks on Underdog. Underdog's super easy to play, and it's even easier to get started. Go to their easy-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code HAP, and Underdog will give you a mystery special pick to use on your first Pick'em entry, plus first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code HAP to claim your new customer special of a mystery player pick and your deposit offer. You must be 18 or over, 19 or over in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 over in Colorado for some games, 21 over Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.npcgambling.org. In Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-HOPE-New York, or text HOPE NY at 467-369. I've been winning some good money. That's all I
Have
know.
you really?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you really? See, I got it out of my system when I was a sophomore in college. I lost a good bit of what I made over the summer working offshore. That scratched my itch.
I do good on college football. Baseball's tough. It's fun. It's easier to do with the Astros because it's like pick a guy that's gonna walk. Okay, I'll pick Bregman. He's a guy with good eye. I don't know. But anyway, it's fun. It's fun and it's easy and I like it. It makes watching the games funner, folks. So give it a try. Go to underdogfantasy.com. You know what's fun, Wally? Naming the
What's that?
Ramshurst players of the year.
That's right.
So, folks, we're
Let's
going to
do
do
it.
pitcher, relief pitcher. That's an added stat. Offensive player, which is offensive, and I guess it's offense. What do we call it? We call it something else. Position player, but
Hitter,
it's yeah,
position player. There you go.
hitter. And the coach Rose, who can be anybody, anything. It's exciting. And I wanted to add this, Wally, even though I think I know the answer for both of us. MVP, most valuable player on the team. Who is the most valuable Houston Astro this year? So let's start with pitcher. I have Ronel Blanco.
And I have Framber Valdez, but I could have gone either way with it.
Yeah. So let me tell you, folks, why I picked Ronel Blanco. Led the Astros in ERA, in WHIP, and batting average against, and he held the team together at the beginning. Very important. Ronel Blanco. Why'd you pick Framber?
I picked Framber because he had a 291 ERA, very close to uh, Ronell. Their whips were close. Framber had 15 wins. He threw a few more innings. He was just the staff ace. When Ronell had a period in the middle of the season where he didn't win for almost 2 months, and during
Yeah.
that period of time, Framber was really solid. Framber, started off a little bit slow, had a few shaky starts, but and he almost threw that no hitter, except for you know the
Two,
Corey
two,
effing Seager hits a home
the
run with
two-run
two
homer
outs
at
in the
the end.
bottom of the ninth.
Ronel Blanco had a no-hitter, right?
He sure did.
All right.
So either way, you could do it either way. I probably picked Fromber because you picked Ronell.
I agree with you. I mean, they both deserve it, but that's who I pick. Okay, this is a new category. Maybe we'll do it next season too. I don't know. But relief pitcher of the year. Who you got?
I, I've got Abreu.
I do too.
Granted, the big three that they brought in were not what was expected. Hader's damage mainly came up when he was tied. When he was in a safe situation, he was nails. But I believe Abreu led the league in number of appearances. Was leading most of the league at 78 appearances, 78.1 innings, a
Yep.
1.16 WHIP. Hader had a .96 WHIP and an ERA of 3.1. Hader can be kind of like the girl with the curl, like a Mother Goose. When he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's horrid. But boy,
Yeah.
when he's good, there's none better.
Yeah. I also had Abreu, like I said, 78.1 innings pitched, 103 strikeouts, 1.16 whip is decent, and he led the team in games. I didn't realize he led the American League in games, but
I don't know if he did that for sure, but
yeah,
he was leading the American League in appearances for a good part of the season.
yeah. But the most appearances and a 1.16 whip, 103 strikeouts, and 80 innings, I think he did a great job. Offense, I have Yordan Alvarez. He led the team in
Yeah,
average, home runs, RBI, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, and batting average.
yeah, me too. I don't know where you go from there. You wonder if he played in 147 games and he was out a couple of times, and he plays another 10 games, maybe hits 3 more home runs and all, but he had a 5.4 WAR, led the team in WAR. I'm surprised the WAR wasn't higher because boy, he was good. And the thing with Alvarez, when he hits one, it just sounds different. I mean,
Yeah.
just there's it sounds like a rifle shot.
All right. Now we got the Coach Rose of the Year, Wally. Coach Rose of the Year. Who do you got?
I've got actually I'm going to throw a curveball and say I've got a tie for the Coach Rose Award.
Wow. I was going to ask you, who do you think some nominees are?
Well, mine are Ronel Blanco, because we said where would they be?
Yeah.
And also, especially until he got hurt, Taylor Scott.
Mm.
Talk
He was
about a
really good.
guy in the bullpen. When the bullpen was trying to get it kind of figured out at the first part of the season, Taylor Scott had an ERA around .6 for the first half of the season. And yeah, he got tired, and I think it was a back issue. Was that what it was? He got hurt. He was on the DL for the last couple of weeks of the season. His performance had been dropping, and I think that was the
Yeah.
reason why.
Yeah.
But for a guy, talk about your definition of the Coach Rose is who maximized their performance of over and above what you would expect.
Yeah.
Taylor Scott's pretty good, and Ronell as well.
Yeah. I think those are two great choices. Arrigetti's a great choice. Ronel Blanco is a great choice. Maybe I didn't give it to him because I gave him Pitcher of the Year. Arrigetti, Blanco, Scott is a good one. I kind of went another direction because even though this guy's a stud and he's a starter, so that's not usually a Coach Rose kind of thing, I expected Yainer Diaz to be good, but who expected him to be fifth in the American League in batting average? This guy just shocked me how good he was.
Yeah, I agree. It's um, he didn't hit as many home runs.
Yeah.
He hit into a lot of double plays, but when you hit a lot of hard balls, you're going to hit into double plays.
Yeah.
He, the one thing that I saw that I really liked about Diaz as the season went on, he was one of the few guys that actually improved his approach as the season progressed. In the first part of the season, he was swinging at anything, and we talked on a couple of the pods and said, he just gets himself out because he's swinging at pitches in the rafters. Well, when he didn't completely get rid of it, but he really started controlling the strike zone, and his batting average and just his total performance improved as it went.
Yeah. So I guess somebody else I want to recognize who did pretty decent in situations here and there. John Singleton.
Yeah.
He did
Do
pretty
you think
good.
do you think they bring Singleton back?
I don't know. It says that, I mean, what I've read that they're going to try to fill that first base. They're going to try to get a center fielder, but I mean, we're going to talk about it in a little while. I don't know if the Astros have money to do all this stuff,
Yeah,
especially if they want to sign Bregman. They don't have money to do anything, I think.
true. That's
Well, they
absolutely
got
right.
money. They're just going to have to pay taxes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun spending somebody else's money, isn't it?
Oh yeah. All right, so that is it for the Ramshirts players of the series. Oh no, it isn't. I wanted to ask you, who do you think was the MVP of the Astros? I would say it's got to be Ronel Blanco, Framber Valdez, Yainer Diaz, Yordan Alvarez. You got any more nominations that I should think about?
Yeah, I'm going with Jordan.
Yordan.
I'm going with Jordan because when he was in the lineup, he produced, and he's the guy that when he comes up to bat, the other team has to game plan around him. You saw it. You saw several times when they just were not going to let Jordan beat him.
Yeah.
Especially when Tucker was out, and even though the Astros went on that incredible run when Tucker was out, um, you know, you got to think he's pretty amazing.
My MVP is also Yordan Alvarez. Average, home runs, RBI, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, batting average. The guy gets uh, intentionally walked with 2 guys on base. I mean, this guy's a stud. I mean, the other team are scared to throw to him. This guy's a menace. He is definitely the MVP for me.
He's a bad man.
He's I like it when like it just flicks him into left field into the Crawford boxes
Yeah.
like it's just nothing.
The ones that I love the most is when he'd hit those rockets just to the right of center field.
Yeah.
And for our seats are on row 32, 33, and the ball never got as high as our row.
The
And it's
ball's
just like,
under you. That's
and
crazy.
then you thank God those things like went into the bullpen or places where nobody was, because you can see some sap in the outfield trying to catch that thing, and there's just no way without a glove.
Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna do some Astros news, folks. Did you know this? We didn't know it during the season, but it came out right afterwards. But Dubon was playing with like a strained or a sprained thumb or something.
But yeah, didn't know if it's strained or broken or whatever, but
Yeah.
maybe that has to do with some of his batting because his OPS was, let's see, his OPS was not good. It's 650 maybe, something like that. Um, yeah, his OPS was 657, and it does explain a few things. And when you're in a tight race like this, and you've got a guy like Dubon who played a lot more, I think, than they really would like to play him.
Hmm.
That's not good. Dubon played in 137 games, and you got to think they'd like to see him in the 110 to 120 range because it seemed like as the season went on, he got tired. And then you have this thumb issue too.
Yeah. I think last year he was Steffi's and maybe yours, or I don't know who, but he was the player of the season for Steffi and someone else.
It
And
wasn't me because
I had picked Kyle Tucker. Oh, I think it was Ryan.
I wonder who it would have been.
I picked Tucker.
Devon played 132 games
Yeah.
last year and had an OPS of 720.
Yeah, I think last year two people on this podcast picked him as the player of the year, and I picked Kyle Tucker. I said Kyle Tucker had like 130 RBIs. I don't know how you can overlook that, but anyway, we're not talking about last year. We're talking this year. So the Astros also part ways with Gary Pettis. What do you think about that?
I don't know what to think. I mean, he's been there 10 years.
Yeah.
He's 66. Yeah, they certainly have not given anything. There's not anything that's come out that has said any disappointment or anything. No one's talked about him.
Mm-hmm.
People always would complain about him being too aggressive and not being a great third base coach. But he's been doing it for a long time. I don't know. Sometimes it's just time.
Yeah. And they're hiring his replacement already, right? Some guy from the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, that's Tony Perez Chica. I don't know how you say that last name, but he's been their third base coach for quite a while. What I read is he's going to work a lot with the minor league infielders.
Maybe that's why they got him. Maybe they need some
I
help
don't
with the
know.
infielders. They got to replace Bregman. You know, I read this. We talked about it earlier, but that Bryce Matthews, one of the young kids that they recently drafted, started in high A or whatever last year, ended up in Sugarland, I think. And they
Uh-huh.
said he'll be in Sugarland at the beginning of the year, and he could possibly be the third baseman next year sometime. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, he fits the profile of Dana and the Braves. The Braves bring people along quick. And if they think you're there, they're going to throw you in there and see if you can play. Matthews acquitted himself well enough at the upper levels of the minors. He had a lot of changes, and we'll see. It's the same story we've said any number of times. You give me 10 players, and there's probably going to be 3 of them that really come up and are productive players, and 1 or 2 of them are real stars.
Yeah. And then Brent Strom, our boy Brent Strom, fired by Arizona.
Yeah, 76 years old. Probably moved to Arizona, took the job at Arizona only because it was close to home.
Yep.
I think he probably hangs it up and goes out to the ranch. And what a great career.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he was very beloved here in Houston.
Yeah,
We when he was here in Houston, and they're like, "Hey, we're getting this guy that's 1-10 with a 9 ERA." And we're like, "Brent Strom will fix him. We're not worried about it."
yeah. I've said it once before. My favorite Brent Strom story that I've heard is when Charlie Morton came in and Strom was looking at him. He must have been impressed with his stuff, and he says, "Tell me about your approach." And he says, "Well, I try to induce soft contact." And Brian Strom asked him, "So why you want to let him hit the effing ball?"
He has a lot of good ones. Like I said, folks, there's a episode where he's on here, and he has some great stories. There was one, like my favorite one that he told me is when he went, he had the guy struggling, and he said, "Hey, went to the meeting. I asked him if he ever said anything funny, and he went out there and he said, 'You need to get these guys, next two guys out really fast because I got to take a dump.'"
There was times when Strom would get up there and then talk, but then there are other times you'd see Stromy get on the mound, and it was a one-way conversation. There wasn't a whole lot of what do you think? It was a whole lot of yes, sir.
Yeah, this is what I think. All right, we got some Gold Glove finalists this year: Alex Bregman, Jake Myers once again, and then Dubon once again. Dubon was he our sole winner last year? He got to wear the gold
I think
belt. And
so.
yeah, so he's the utility player Gold Glover.
And Bregman should win it. From seeing as much ball as we saw, I didn't see anybody else that came near playing third base the way Bregman did.
Mhm.
Myers, I would hope would win it. Um, who's against Myers? Do you know who's running against Myers?
No,
And
no, I
Myers
don't.
made some plays in center field that were just out of
Yeah,
this world good.
yeah. So one thing that I read, I think we might have talked about it last time. Um, they were talking about people that the arbitration cases, and if they would sign them. Maybe I didn't talk about it. I don't know. And they said like Jake and Chaz are both up for arbitration, and
Right.
they're probably only going to sign one of them, and I think it's probably going to be Jake.
Yeah, I don't know. See, do we want to talk about what we're doing next year?
If you want, we got a few minutes.
Yeah, because right now the Astros have got somewhere around 262 is what Baseball Reference says we have under contract this year. And if you start moving people around, you've got some key free agents. The biggest ones we'll see is Bregman, Verlander, Kikuchi are the three biggest. When you also have Kendall Graveman, you've got Hector Neris. Um, you can figure out what you might want to do, but you could see the Astros if they signed all those guys having about a $275 million payroll.
Yeah,
That's well above this. I think it's above the second tier of the salary cap.
yeah,
I just wonder if they're going to do it because the team has a lot of team need that. This is the first year you can look at the Astros and say that they really need some tweaking. They need some working.
yeah,
You've got Bregman making 30.5 million this year. Do you do you sign him for 35, 40, or do you let him go and try to use that money someplace else? Verlander, I think we were on the hook for 18 million of it. Kikuchi, he was he was at a $10 million. Maybe they bring him back. I think if anybody they bring back, I think they bring Kikuchi back 2 plus an
yeah,
option.
yeah,
But there's if you want to free up, $60 million in salary, you've got Graveman, Neris, Verlander, and uh, and Bregman, and that's some money that's freed up. And you've also got guys who are coming into arbitration.
yeah,
Fromber and Tucker are making 12 this year. You got to figure they're somewhere in the 16 range. You've got guys like Dubon, Chaz, Jake, Pena, Abreu, Penn Murphy. They'll get some raise, but you add them all up together, it's probably 10, $12 million extra in salary. So there's definitely a salary crunch, and it would surprise me none for the first time in a number of years that they hit the trade market pretty hard.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think I saw a projection that Framber was probably gonna get about 16 and a half, and then Tucker about 15. I mean,
Yeah,
if I had read, you know what the thing is it like 260, the threshold?
yeah, I don't know what that threshold is, but
Yeah.
I was looking at the thing
But what
about. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, but one of the guys on the radio, they said if they sign all of the arbitration guys, they're already at 220,000,000,
Yeah,
and the top and the threshold is like 240, 250. They're not
yeah,
that far
it
away from it.
no, that's just the arbitration guys without. You're saying
That's without trying to
without
sign
the free.
Kikuchi and Alex Bregman or
Yeah,
Hector
without
Neris or
the
whoever. Yeah.
yeah, that's without the signing Bregman and those guys, right?
Yeah. They're gonna do some tweaking. I don't know what they're
Yeah,
gonna
it's.
do, but they're gonna do some tweaking.
I do think, and we've talked about this before. I do think Dana and Crane will go to Bregman quickly and decide, are they in this and are they not?
Yeah.
Because there really are no other third basemen out there. You'd say, could you trade for an Arenado? Well, Arenado's got a contract, I think, that goes to 27.
Yeah.
So he's on a decline. One thing with Bregman that is there's a red flag. Bregman usually has been a high walk guy. This last year only walked 44 times.
Mm.
Um, his his OPS went from 820 to 804 to 768. Could be some of this is just simply because of the whole team didn't approach
Yeah.
uh, their at bats okay, but his OPS plus was 118, which dropped from 122 to from 134. Um, he still is an above league average hitter, but he's also getting on the north side of 30. And I'm not saying you don't sign him, but
Yeah.
these are things that you start looking at and saying, what do you've got these red flags. They're there.
Yeah. If he's declining at a little over 30 and you sign him for 10 years, which was I think that's what it's gonna take. How good is Bregman gonna be when he's 38, 39, 40?
No, I think the Astros go. He'd be playing his age 31 year. I think they go 5 plus an option.
Yeah.
And if he goes, if someone wants to pay him stupid money and stupid years ago, 7, 8 years, you just wave him goodbye and say thanks.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. You got the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers. There's teams out there that throw stupid money at people, so
Let him.
they throw
Let him.
stupid money at them. The Astros don't, but I think as far as, we're saying there's not a lot of talk about, but I think once free agency hits and people start doing trades, I think it's gonna be a pretty exciting offseason.
Yeah, I think it's be very active offseason for the Astros.
Yeah.
And
Usually it's
something
like
else to go ahead.
I was gonna say usually the people would say, "Who do you think the Astros are gonna pick up in free agency?" Nobody. They don't need anybody, but they do need to do something this year.
Yeah, they do. And I think one thing that's starting to happen is it seems like we're starting to get some more talent in the minor leagues, so we can start feeding that. There's some good arms down on the farm, and if we got like uh, Brewball, I think that's who it is, AJ Brewball. Uh, they've got the kid that was going to start
Yeah.
the last game of the season. You're seeing some guys come up, and the Astros had 10 players come up from the farm and play significant games this year. For a farm system that's not supposed to be any good, they contributed. Is DeCenzo able to play? I don't know. He's going to have to shorten that swing up. You know, can Whitcomb play? I mean, he's certainly going to have to work on his glove.
Yeah.
Um,
They're gonna have to play next year if we don't have Bregman. Someone's gonna
yeah,
have to do it.
someone's going to have to do it. I don't see him bringing. Singleton's been such a great story, but I just don't see him bringing him back. He's 32. If somebody can take him and give him a shot. I mean, To Singleton's credit, he's one of the few guys there that really worked a good at bat most of the time.
Yeah. Well, what do they do at first?
Yeah,
Yiner?
could be Yiner.
Because they
You
have
know, if you
Caratini another year. They could do Caratini, bring up Salazar, and
yeah.
Yiner could play first.
Do you remember Omar Narvaez, who played for Seattle a number of years ago?
No.
Okay, well he's in their system right now,
Hmm.
and he's got a number of years with the majors. And if you could bring if he's got anything left, if you've got Salazar, Narvaez, Caratini, who can man the catcher's position well enough
Mhm.
that you can take Diaz and spend an off season with him, hitting him ground balls, working at his footwork around first base. That's a big thing with Diaz. His footwork needs a lot of work.
Yeah. Caratini played first too.
Yeah,
If you're desperate enough, move him there.
yeah. Well, Caratini, they've got one more year,
Yeah.
so I would be thinking that you're trying to bring a catcher along and find a place for Diaz where he can play.
That's true. Well, they got some down on the farm, so we'll see what
Yep,
happens.
yep.
Well, all right, Wally. That's it. That's all we have,
It's
folks.
fun.
We always have fun, don't
And
we?
final thoughts. I think it's always disappointing not to be here. If you'd told us the 1st of May that we would have made the playoffs, you would have gotten some funny looks. I think it highlights how difficult it is to make a run, and how we should be so grateful for what the Astros have given us for the last decade, really.
Yeah. What we've done is not we, but the team, what they've done, very difficult. And if
Oh
it
yeah,
was easy, there would be other teams doing it. But
yeah.
I don't think anyone's done what they're doing. I mean, you'd have to go all the way probably back to the Yankees back in the steroid era when they were going to the World Series,
Well,
but it's been a while.
you had the Yankees in the steroid era. Okay, you had the Yankees back in the late 40s through the 50s. Um, Here's another team I threw out on a post, but there's 3 or 4 teams that have had true dynasties,
Yeah.
and the Astros are one of them.
Yeah. I believe so. The haters don't think so, but I believe so. That's my
Uh,
final thought. The Astros,
Echo those.
100%. This is a dynasty, and next year will prove whether or not that it's over.
Yep.
We'll see.
Yep.
I don't have any comments on how good we're going to be because they got a lot of work to do. All right,
It's gonna be interesting.
it will be. All right, folks. For Wally, I'm your host Rob Fontenot. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Astros Baseball.
See ya.